The administration of Governor Gboyega Oyetola as the governor of the state of Osun last month clocked 18 months, which means the governor has been piloting the affairs of the state for the last 1.5 years. We are going to be looking into that today, and we are going to be sitting with the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Mr. Ismail Omipidan, to x-ray what has been the achievements of the governor, what has been the ups and downs in the state. And also, we will talk about the coronavirus pandemic in the state, what has been the achievements in battling this virus in the state, and also the local government elections. Are we actually committed to having local government election? And if we are going to have it, is it going to be parliamentary system? Or there is going to be an amendment to local government administration law in the state? Let's look at this. Let's sit down and x-ray that. This is a insightful moment. I am Jareti Amiyu. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back from that very short break. As I said earlier, my guest today is the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Mr. Ismail Omipidan, and we are going to be discussing governance in the past 18 months that the governor, Mr. Gboyega Oyetola, has been in the saddle, has been piloting affairs of the state. And also we will look at the fight against coronavirus in the state, the success achieved in the past 3 months that we have been battling it, and what is the hope about the coming election, local government election, how committed is the state to this election. The Chief Press Secretary, sir, you are welcome to the show.
The pleasure is mine.
Sir, how has been the governance in the state for the past 18 months that the present governor, Mr. Gboyega Oyetola, has been piloting the affairs of the state?
First and foremost, we need to give thanks to God that Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, the current governor of the state of Osun, came at the time he came. I say so with a sense of modesty. I say so with a sense of responsibility. How do I mean? It takes a man of immense financial background, high level of integrity to manage Osun successfully in the last 18 months, considering our state of affairs, which is known to everybody within and outside Osun. In the last 18 months, Mr. Governor has demonstrated that he truly understands the needs of the people and he knows how to go about them. One unique thing about the government is that we did not come in as a government that know it all.
Okay.
We did not come in as a government that believe that we should decide for the people what they want.
Okay.
We allow the people to take part in the governance process by telling us what they wanted. And how did we arrive at that? If you recall very well, there was a thank you tour that was embarked upon by Mr. Governor. And during the thank you tour, a lot of demands were made by the people of the state. Top on the list was issue of road construction. And immediately after that, there was also a UK DFID funded citizen needs assessment exercise that was carried out in Osun. Incidentally, all the outcome of the thank you tour of Mr. Governor, based on the needs of the people, tallied with what the UK funded DFID needs assessment exercise also came up with. And so all the roads that we have constructed so far were purely based on the requests and the needs of the people. I'll give a particular example. Since we are in the state capital, it's very easy to assess. Look at the Aleku Odo Road. The last time any government touched that road was when the state of Osun was still under the old Oyo state.
I mean, before 1991.
Before 1991, that was the last time any work was carried out on that road.
Okay.
But go there today, you will see that it is wearing a new look. And for me, it's very, very instructive. Instructive because when I listen to what the residents say, in fact, one of them told us that that area is hugely populated, and that the road Mr. Governor has done, they will show their appreciation at the appropriate time, because they have made a spirited attempt to get previous administration to get it done. Now look at Ejigbo. You see, each time Mr. Governor tells some of us that this government is God sent, it's a government that has the hand of God. If you don't sit down very well to interrogate that statement, you may not understand. But in recent times, the things that are happening for me show clearly that truly the government, God truly has hand in the government. How do I mean? We started the Ejigbo Road, and we also started our major investment in the health sector. Okay. With the 332 wards rehabilitation, which so far we have done about 250, and we started the rehabilitation of the general hospitals. Now, as at the time we were investing in the health sector, we didn't know that a day will come when we'll be battling with the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, just imagine if we had not started the work on the Ejigbo Road, and if we had not worked on the general hospital to put it in place, it would have been very difficult for us to manage the Ivory Coast returnees, about 127 of them, which almost, made the whole world to focus on Osun at the early stage of the outbreak, of the pandemic. If the general hospital, for instance, was not ready, where would we have kept those 127 persons that we took their samples before, about 18 of them, turning, positive? Now, how would we have been able to assess? Because at a point, some of us were shuttling between Osogbo and Ejigbo. If the road were not okay, it would probably have been very difficult, to do that. So to that extent, I want to say that so far, so good. We have kept faith with our promises. We have done investment in the health sector. We have done investment in the road construction, that is the infrastructure. We have done investment in education. We have done investment in even the welfare of workers, the masses, both the workers, the masses, and the pensioners. So, by and large, I think even though it is not proper for me to score ourselves, I believe that if this administration is subjected to proper scrutiny by unbiased members of the public, they will surely give the government a thumbs up.
Sir, let me now, from what you have said, you have actually mentioned something which the people of Osun are actually, are craving to its commencement. The issue of policies and the area of education. People have been given what the policies reverse or the policies amendments are. When is it starting? When are people of the state going to say that no, there's no more middle school? People are now going back to, we have what do you call it, the primary schools, and then we have the secondary school. When is it starting?
First, let me correct an impression that what we have done with the education sector is not a policy reversal. Okay. It's a review, and you agree with me that for every policy of government, is subject to review, especially when the people insist they want it. Like, since you have gone to that, let me take us back a little bit. During the election hearing in 2018, you can Google it, Mr. Governor, during the governorship debate hosted by the Channels Television, he was put on the spot on the issue of single uniform and other issues relating to education. And Mr. Governor did say that there's no policy that is cast in iron, and that if at any point in time the people of the state want any of the policy reviewed, that it will surely look into it. Again, shortly after the election, during the thank you tour, top on the list of what the people wanted was this issue of single uniform. They want the government to look into it. This issue of middle school and what have you. They were there. Again, these things were captured by even the UK-funded DFID needs assessment exercise that were carried on. So, if some cynics will say that, oh, it was government that did it, what about the one from the external body, which tallied with, so when those reports, came, as a government, we decided to sit down to look at it. And again, we did not just sit down to take a decision on the spur of the moment. We subjected the issue again to a panel of eminent, educationists, eminent elders, in the state and even outside the state, people like General Ani Akinrade, people like Professor, Luaina. We had Pai Obaye. We have even people coming from, outside the country to help us, look at it. And when they looked at it, they made their recommendations, and it was those recommendations that were implemented. If you recall, when we addressed the press at that time, we did say clearly that we were going to start from the next academic session. But with the pandemic, the pandemic has changed virtually everything. Including even forcing government to even review its, budget. So certainly, the pandemic may affect the timing. May, underline that word may. But before the pandemic, what we said was that we're taking up the next academic section, and I think the next academic session is supposed to start in September. Well, I believe that. So far we have kept faith with all our promises, so I believe that we'll deliver on our promises.
Okay, before we go on break, I would like to also point out from what you have just said, in what I can refer to as your opening remark. You talk about the finances of the state that is so lean, and everybody is aware of that. It's not something new. We have known for a very long time, and I would like to ask, what the state government is receiving now is very, very small, and the knowledge and everything that we know about it is they are removing the debts of Osun from it. How much is our debt now? How about the debt servicing? How much is our debt as we speak today?
I think you should know better than me, because you are a journalist, and I believe very much that most of this information is in the public domain. But what I do know is that in spite of all the challenges, governance is still going on in the state of Osun. And even some cynics who thought that Mr. Governor may find it difficult to deliver, I even wowed and amazed at some of the things he's doing, especially too that we've been able to pay salaries non-stop.
Yes.
In the last 18 months, it was something some persons thought were impossible. So I will leave it at that.
So, as somebody, I'm a journalist, right? But, we also have to quote from people in the government like you. So maybe people of Osun are like, can we know where we are in the debt servicing? That is...
It's, look, the debt servicing, it's an open thing. it's an information you can access anytime, even without recourse to us. It's an information you can access anytime, any day without recourse to us, but we are keeping to our obligations in spite of, that.
Okay, we will go on a very short break now, but when we come back, we'll talk about the COVID-19 pandemic in the state, the success that the state has recorded. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Okay, you are welcome back from that very short break. My guest once more is the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of the State of Osun, Mr. Ismail Omekudun. We have been discussing governance in the past 18 months, and also we are looking at the issue of coronavirus and politics in the state. What I mean by politics is local government elections. If we are going to be having it, if the state is committed to it, we are aware that the governor has sent the name of the nominees to the State Assembly, and the State Assembly has actually confirmed all these people. So let's say if we are going to be having the election. Mr. Omekudun, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
So, let's now go back. Let's go to coronavirus. As I said earlier, by the month of April, early in the month of April, we were number 3 on the log, and it actually turned the attention of the whole world. Everyone was saying, Osun State, why Osun State? We don't have international airports. We are not like a route to every other state. Why Osun State having 40 something? I think we are like 36 or 42 then. But between that and now, we have recorded less than 10 cases after this one that we recorded. So what exactly is going on? Where are we in the fight against COVID-19?
Again, let me re-emphasize that what we are witnessing in Osun, as far as the fight against to contain the coronavirus is concerned, further validates my earlier position that this administration, it's one that was put down by God, and one that is with God is majority. And once you are with God, you believe, in His wonders, you believe in His powers. Certain things are get done that you, as a human being, you cannot comprehend how those things have been done, why they have been done. You recall that at the onset of the outbreak of the virus, we recorded first 2 cases. The first case came in from UK. The second case had a contact with someone who came in from Japan, whom he visited in Lagos. And while we're trying to manage the two, suddenly the Ejigbo saga, broke out, where we had some Nigerians, because as we later found out, not all of them were from
Osun State.
The state of Osun.
Wow.
About 127 of them. We got information through Mr. Governor was informed by his colleague in Ogun State, and Mr. Governor requested that they be escorted, to the state, since they all claim at that point that they were all from. I need to say this because there are lots of misconception about that, because some people were saying, okay, if you know that they are not from your state, why did you allow them in? All of them claimed they were coming to Osun. Okay. And it was dead in the night. So Mr. Governor, asked, his colleague in Ogun to help facilitate, their return to the state. It was when they arrived our state, it was during the process of profiling that we realized that not all of them are from the state. And at that point, the most responsible and reasonable thing for any responsive and responsible government to do was to take care of the situation, because the implication of asking those who are not from the state to go is that you end up helping the spread of the virus. So what the state did with Ejigbo 127 was to save the country from a catastrophe, because in the course of investigation, we realized that we had people from Abia State, we had people from Lagos State, we had people from Oyo State, we had people from Imo, we had people from Edo, Ogun, and I think one other state, about 8 states.
Out of the 18?
All of them. Now, out of the 18, 2 eventually were from Abia State.
Okay.
But to God be the glory, we treated all of them and we discharged them.
When the governments of those states contacted that, you have some of your citizens are here and we are taking care of them.
No, what we did was when we, like those that tested negative, we gave them stipends to return to their various states. And we got in touch with their various government that, look, this is what has happened. This is what we have done. We have carried out tests on them. They are certified negative. And, we handed them over to their various, states. So those who tested positive too, we treated them, and after, I think about 2 weeks or so, they were okay. We discharged them. Now, as at today, the number of active cases that we have is 7.
Okay.
But let me say this quickly too, that so far, in all the cases we have recorded, one thing is clear, that all these cases were imported cases.
Okay.
Those who are resident in Osun, who have contacted it so far, had contacts with previous cases.
So there's no community transmission in Osun?
For now, as at this morning that I am speaking, June 4th, there is no evidence of community transmission in the state of Osun. And our health workers have been living up to the task to ensure that we not only do effective and adequate contact tracing, but we ensure that those who are taken into our isolation are properly taken care of. Let me also use this opportunity to say that the state deserves some measure of commendation because we successfully treated one 82-year-old woman. And for me, it's rare because what the medical experts told us, is that it's rare for people of that age to survive, the virus.
Sir, let me now talk about the issue of what do you call it? The palliative that the state government distributed. Then there was this information about adulterated rice, and the governor promised that he's going to get to the root of the matter.
When you say adulterated rice,
yes,
choice of word is very, very important.
Okay.
Because what we saw was that the quality of the rice was not up to the quality that was there. Because when you say something is adulterated, what you are saying is that they have tampered with the quality, not the quality. That is, when you have petrol, for example,
okay,
and you say petrol is adulterated, that means they have mixed it with either water or diesel. But in this case, that was not what we had.
Okay, we had expired rice.
No. Where did you test it?
Okay, what kind of rice did we have?
The thing is that the rice was of low quality.
Okay,
simple.
Now, does low quality rice, as we have just put it,
yes,
the governor promised to investigate the matter?
Yes, and
where are we in the
we did. The investigation was carried out, and we found out the person who supplied it.
Okay.
And as we speak, the supplier has been blacklisted.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think the people of the state, maybe, or don't you think there is a need to prosecute that? What if it has caused more damage than...
No, you see, that is why I'm saying that choice of words is very, very important.
Okay.
Because no government who knowingly want to poison its citizens. That's why I took on some of our colleagues, because when you say poisoned rice, which lab did you take it to be tested?
And how many
before you discover that it's poison? Now, how many people have died or suffered some ailment as a result of eating the rice? You understand me? So choice of words is very, very important. The truth is that if we must face the fact, I want to say with all sense of modesty that the issue was blown out of proportion for political gains. That's all. How do I mean? There was a particular woman, check the video, check the net. She was not even complaining of the quality. Her own rice was okay, but what she was complaining of was the quantity. Now, if you are truly complaining of the quantity, the next thing she said was that it's good for the birds to eat it, and she started throwing it away. So what it means that she never needed it. So she was doing it for other motive. Because if you feel that the quantity is too small for your status, I beg you, there are people next door who will pray for you if you give it to them. That is why, for me, I believe very strongly that the issue was blown out of proportion. And thank God, it was immediately taken care of. Okay. And I'm sure since then, we have done several other palliatives. Some are ongoing, more will still follow, and we've never had any noise since then.
Sir, it seems this our conversation, we still have to extend it a little bit. And I want to talk about the latest development now.
Okay.
I'm still on this COVID-19. Now that we are aware that the state government has given the religious leaders some level of guidelines that they can open their religious centers for the next 2 weeks. But there has not been any official communication as regards the total lockdown that we are having on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Thank you very much. At the meeting yesterday, what happened was that we took a holistic look at the whole lockdown.
Okay.
Now we had agreed on some measures, but because our religious leaders, they are also key to some of the measures we are taking, we felt that there was a need to interact with them to get their buy-in into what we are doing. That was why that yesterday's meeting was held. I want to believe that before the end of today, there will be a general, there will be an announcement to the effect of, other aspects. Even it was reiterated at that meeting yesterday that we are relaxing the lockdown to allow adherents of the both religion to worship. Does not mean that the fight against COVID-19 is over. And that is why we have said that the relaxation will be for 2 weeks in the first instance. So if we see that our people are not complying, we'll go back to the full lockdown.
Okay. So let's now conclude this conversation now. Issue of local government election. How committed is the state to the local government election? And if we are going to be having the election as we believe, what are we going for this parliamentary system? Or the governor is looking towards sending an executive bill back to the House of Assembly to work on the local government administration bill?
Yes, there is a popular adage in the Hausa language that says that Juma Mechao de la Rabaka Ganeta. That is to say that a Good Friday is determined by the Wednesday preceding it. What I'm driving at is the mere fact that we have set up the State Independent Electoral Commission is an indication that we are indeed prepared, for the election. I think that should take care of that aspect of your question. And the second aspect is, I'm happy that you raised it, because about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the story was everywhere that we're amending the law to change from parliamentary to presidential. People who believe that they can think for us, who believe that they know better than those of us in government, that they know what we are doing better than us. went to town to say that they were amending the law. To God be the glory. What the House passed was an attempt, but was to stop the incessant impeachment, of local government, chairman. To the best of my knowledge, there's a law in place guiding the current system we are running, and unless that law is amended, the election will be conducted in accordance with the system.
There is, as we speak now, there is no any indication that the governor may seek for amendment of the law.
We have never discussed it.
Okay.
As of today.
Okay.
I don't know what will happen tomorrow.
Okay.
It's the members of the public that are discussing it. And we have been following it.
But what about, it's now getting heated with the member of the public, people are saying it factually on daily basis, and we've seen...
I'm sure when we get to the bridge, we'll cross it.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. But before we go, I would like to hear your message to the people as we are still battling the coronavirus, considering the fact that people are not allowed to be gathering in masses as the life was before. So what is your message to the people of Osun?
First, I want to, on behalf of my principal, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, Governor of the State of Osun, thank the entire people of the state for their cooperation, for their understanding so far in our effort to contain the spread of coronavirus. The level of compliance in the state compared to other states is very, very high. So I must commend our people for that. And that also shows that the leadership of the government is also popular with the people, because you only get such level of compliance where the people agree, to a large majority of the people agree with what the administration is doing. Going forward, I want to implore them not to waver. It is not yet over. It is not over yet. We are still battling the pandemic, but we must learn to live with it. We must use our face masks. We must wash our hands regularly. We must avoid traveling when it is not necessary, because the 2 new cases we have between Tuesday and yesterday, one of them spent 2 weeks in Ibadan and came in to Ilefe. The other, who lived in Ikire, had visitors from Ibadan. So this has shown clearly that we must be wary of where we go. We must be wary of the type of visitors that we receive at this.
Please, if I may quickly button, sir. When I was coming this morning, I heard...
I saw your post. I saw your post. I saw your post. You see, Nigerians...
The security.
Well...
Are they working well? Are they doing right things?
Well, the thing is, the security are trying their best.
Okay.
But human beings generally, if you try to cage them, they always find, a means of, beating whatever measure you have put in place to cage them. But what we have succeeded in doing is to make them realize that whatever we are doing is for our own good. And to that extent, I still want to commend them, because it is through them that we get to know those who sneak in. Like the person who tested negative who tested positive on Wednesday, came into town on Monday. We were alerted and we rushed in to do, carry out, the necessary preliminary investigation and taking, sample. So I want to advise strongly that except it is extremely necessary for now, let us, avoid traveling. And they should continue to pray for the government of Adegboyega Oyetola, that we have seen that in spite of the lean resources, we are doing roads, we are taking care of the welfare of the people, we are fixing our hospitals, we are also working on reviving the economy. We are investing heavily in agriculture. We are investing in the mining sector, and all this can only be possible with consistent, prayers for the government. Once again, we thank them for their support so far, and we are asking them not to relent, in their prayers for the administration, because, like they say, the end is also as important as the beginning.
Thank you so much, sir. That has been a very wonderful session with the Chief Press Secretary to Governor Gboyega Oyetola, Mr. Ismail Umipidon. We have been able to x-ray a lot of things. So, DCPS, sir, thank you so much for that. That was a very interesting session with the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor. He actually answered some questions, and he said about the death profile of the state. So it's in the public domain. Everybody can look into that. You can check that. Just Google it and you will see it. And on the issue of local government elections, he said the state is committed to having it. And if we are going to be having parliament system or the presidential system, he said when we get to the bridge, we are going to cross it. That is a very wonderful session. And about the coronavirus, he explained where we are and where we are going. I am Jarity Amiyu. Till some other time when I come your way, special appreciation to my crew member, Ido Ubamidele, Mayo Wajayi, and Sahid. Thank you for working with me. Till some other time, please ensure you stay safe.